Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I want to say welcome. Welcome to our open house here at the Boardr. We used to do this at the Dream Driveway. A lot of you guys actually went there over the years. That kind of ran its course over time. And last year we did this open house in November during Tampa Am. We did a presentation. The presentation was called "Is Contest Skateboarding Participation in Decline?" And we were noticing how Rob was noticing how the numbers are declining in these contests as we're looking at the stats. Contest after contest, month after month, year after year, and it started being really, really noticeable. It was well received. The presentation went better than we thought. And then we filmed it, put it on YouTube, and we got a ton of response back from all over the world, from industry leaders as well as like local people in their scene, shop owners. It was a really enlightening to hear from everybody. So today we're going to elaborate on this, and we're going to not talk about just our events, but the industry's events as a whole, the skateboarding contest as a whole. Before I pass it to Rob, I just wanted to give a breakdown of what we do. Not everyone knows, and for those watching from what we're filming here, I want to tell you a bit more about the Boardr, our agency. We have 3 different divisions, and there's 10 of us that work here, and just like with any business, any small business, we're always pivoting, like working on a project, switching that project to this project. We're doing a design build. Oh, we're helping someone with a contract. Oh, we're doing an event in Irma. Oh, we're working on Tony Hawk Vert Alert. There's always a constant pivot with what we do. With the Boardr, it's events and consulting, right? We've operated, managed, executed. I wrote hundreds, and then I thought about it. It was like maybe 1,000 events since we started. It's been 12 years, you know. Vans Park Series, used to work for X Games, worked for Do Tour, tons of work with Red Bull, a lot of stuff you've seen out there. Mind the Gap, Origin, Heartlines, Red Bull Boarding Pass, Tony Hawk Vert Alert, Copenhagen. We've been a part of Copenhagen and behind the scenes since the first one. I've been to every single one except one of them. We own our own events. That's the Boardr series. Little events like this, pop-up stuff. We do all sorts of things with the Boardr. With Excel, we do management and representation. Some people don't even know we do that. Just someone today, they're like, how do you know Mark Gonzalez? I'm like, I don't really know Mark Gonzalez. We work for Mark Gonzalez. We manage and represent him. We have for, I think with Mark, it's been 11 years. We started working with Nora when she was still working at Welcome. We've been with Ashad since right when he turned pro. Jamie Foy before he had any paying sponsors. And some of the younger kids we manage is Zion F's and Junior Gutierrez, as you guys probably know, Lido Jr. on Instagram. With Platform, we design and build skate parks. We started this during COVID because the events business basically there was no events business. So we started designing and building parks. That was just a reaction to no events. We work very flexible with that business like we do with the rest of our businesses. Maybe it's just a design, maybe it's just some CDs for a company that's going to build something. And then we design and build a couple of parks. Hayden, Colorado, which is opening this spring. And we just got a job in Ocala, Florida, which we're so psyched. It's an hour and a half north of here, a city in Florida, that we're doing the build for a skate park there. And all the newer stuff you've seen at Woodward being built over the last probably 2 years, 3 years, we have been the lead designers for all of Woodward globally. So enough of the bragging. I didn't mean to do it like that, but I just want to make sure that people know what we do, because a lot of times people are like, whoa, it's crazy. What do you guys do? And it's like, that's what we do. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob for the statistics, and then I'll dive back in a bit.
Hi, I'm Rob. I've been working at the Boardr here with Ryan. We started in 2013 or so. About 15 or 20 years at Skate Park at Tampa. Before that, my background's in accounting and software development. And behind the scenes here, I am constantly logging contest results and participation, not just from our own events, but about 8 or 9 years ago, we started doing the entire industry. So if some little contest goes down in Finland or Nebraska, I hit them up for the results and log them and keep track of that. So what we're going to talk about is that data today here. This is what we're working with right now. There's 134,000 contest entries. I have mindlessly logged every weekend these have gone down. Over 10,000 events. We got 35,000 profiles. Those are the kids in the contest. And out of that, we have 20,000 of them that get a ranking in this global rankings thing that I do. So what we're looking at is how often these skaters return to contests from 2017 through 2025. So I'm taking somebody like Gabby here who skates contests year after year, and then how often do people in his group return the following years to skate. And we've got some pretty interesting patterns happening there. So first is overall, about 40% of the skaters who skate contests in a year for the entire industry and everything we track don't come back the next year. So 60% is the average for returning. And this chart right here is just the number of skaters every year that we've tracked as far as contest entries. Getting near 7,000 in the late 20-teens. Of course, the pandemic got, murdered everyone. Nice little recovery there, and then back to a dip in 2024 with about 4,700 skaters skating contests last year. So since 2017, there have been 30,000 skaters that have skated contests. That's probably the majority of us in here, me and Ryan and little kids like Gabby here. 19,000 are gone. They haven't entered a contest in 3 years. We're going to take a closer look at that category too. That's 64% of them. When you break that down by country, I'm taking a look at some of the top countries here. In the US, 17,000 of those skaters are US based. 12,000 of them have not skated a contest in 3 years. That's 70%. It's pretty high in Australia, way lower in Canada. I know their federation up there is constantly doing events and stuff there. They are in Australia too, but I'm not really sure why the drop off is so hard there. In Mexico, they've got a huge drop off. I know before the pandemic, they were doing lots of all ages contests there. They just never came back after, with nearly 90% of these skaters gone that haven't skated a contest in the last 3 years.
Yeah, like
That's
a lot
crazy.
of these countries like Brazil, they have really strong federations. They're always doing events.
Yeah, yep. And then Germany made the top 6 lists there with about average of about 60% of the skaters gone from contests in the last 3 years. One really low rate was, of course, Japan, coming up, hard in the last, 5, 6 years or so, of course, dominating the podiums these days. 468 skaters since 2017, only 128 of them haven't skated contests in the last 3 years, a super low rate of dropouts. Their work ethic and their determined and approach and work ethic and discipline and
the entire
skating in their craft.
The entire culture, the Japanese culture, provides for good contest skating.
Yeah. So we're going to look at a couple of the top AM contests with established skaters that are definitely already lifers, and they'll be skating when they're old and gray like me and Ryan here. Phoenix AM consistently around a little over 200 in the late 2010s. Of course, pandemic is gone. Came back really nicely. In 2015 here, I think there was 159 on this last year. So slightly dropping there. That's Keenan. He won it this year. He's from Tampa. Hell yeah. Yeah. Now, since 2017, there have been 1,400 skaters in Phoenix AM. Only 30% of them haven't skated it in the last 3 years. We call them gone. Not bad, but this level of contest is we've already got these skaters hooked. They're definitely skaters for life by the time they get to this point. And one thing I wanted to look at too with Phoenix AM is the ages. Over half of the skaters in Phoenix AM are full-blown adults. They're 20 and up, and the average age in that 20 and up category is 24. Only 40% are 19 and under, and that average is 15. This pie slice needs to be bigger, I think, for us to really grow skateboarding.
That's our biggest concern, is there are fewer young kids skating these contests. Even these contests at a high level, but they're a good example of it.
Yeah, it's not a very young crowd.
You see the same thing with the next one.
Yep, so Tampa AM skaters, pretty similar here with the mid 200 range. I don't know if they're capping it here or if there could be 400 kids in here if they allowed it. Back when we ran it, it was, kids sent in videos and it was like yes or no on getting in or whatever.
We're assuming it's the same way, and there's a cap and there's a way to get into it.
Yep. So Tampa AM has really similar return rates, almost 70% of the kids return, 29% are gone. Real similar to Phoenix AM. And the other thing that's super similar are the ages. Half of them are 20 and up. Full-blown adults here. 44% are 19 and under, with 16 being the average in that slice. We want to try to get this to grow, get this to be bigger, younger skaters. So One thing I also did just for fun, this is a spot old man bowl jam every year. These are the old guys, 30, 40, and 50-year-olds, right? And that's what their participation rates look like, 40, 50, 60, and somehow 70.
That's
70
insane. When there were
last year.
70 old guys skating in a contest. And then 2025, we're like, what happened? And yesterday, Chris goes, Swamp Fest. They put the event on the same day as Swamp Fest. So that was interesting.
So yeah, it's cool to see there's lots of old skaters out there, but the focus of this as we move on here is younger skaters and how we can keep new skaters skating. When I first did this, I thought half of them died or something. Yeah, they're just gone. Like, yeah. Okay, so we're as I just said, we're thinking about younger skaters here, and particularly the ones who like get into it for a year and try to find their way and hopefully keep skating, or like what happens when they aren't, or when they like move on to something else or whatever is happening. So this is the Boardr series right here. This is an all ages contest. It used to be called Grind for Life. This is all divisions, like 8 and under, 12 to 15, all that, all divisions, all skills. We're thinking this person is like maybe a year or two into skateboarding. They're comfortable enough to go, you know what, I want to enter a competition and attend one of these. Before the pandemic, we were seeing this rise like a lot of other contest series were. We got not as destroyed as everybody else in the pandemic because Florida.
Yeah, I think we ended up doing four or five in Florida this year. Outdoor parks and such.
And then it came back strong in 2021. We were like, damn, this is crazy. Some contests had like over 200 kids.
At that point, we had to limit entries. We had some contests with 231 kids at the most. It was taken until 8 o'clock at night. We had to lower it to 175 skaters. We were like, what an amazing problem to have.
Yeah.
And then 2022 happened. And that was the same numbers of contests from 2021
5
to
stops
2022.
And 5 stops, yeah. Oh, and this part, you want to tell them about that, Ryan, on why those are so large and the drop?
A lot of this, and I talk about this a lot, I don't want to get too heavy on it, but a lot of it's economics, right? So when we have proper sponsorship dollars, you guys may remember Marinella used to sponsor our events. It was like, people are like, what the hell is this? Well, how do you have this? I'm like, it was a cold call. Okay, and it ended up getting to where they were like, we will fund as many of these as you can do. So in 2017, 18, and even 19, I think we were doing 12 or 14 different all ages, all skills events all around the country.
Half of them are on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Marinella snack cakes.
But
it's like
Hostess. They're huge.
Yeah.
Huge, but they're South America, like huge. But then they made a big push into the States, and they were backing everything we did. They're like, we want to do more of it. It was amazing. It was like glory days of getting to do what we wanted to do.
Yep.
They stopped in 2020, and we came back, and we were like, oh, we're killing it. We're strong. It's great. We don't need it. And then.
Yeah, so half of those were not in the Southeast where we're based, where it's more economical, obviously, for us to do contests in the Southeast. And all these are Southeast contests. So we've got this slow decline over the last few years. And this pattern, I think right here, reflects not just contest data. I mean, we're hearing a lot of the same stories, obviously, from people in the industry and hard goods and stuff. Everybody got on skateboards in the pandemic, bikes and physical activity went through the roof, and went to skate shops and all that. And then it fell off pretty quickly when the world returned to normal. So not just for our contest series, but on our site, you can go and get all this data on your own after this. If you're curious about how all this plays out, you can go drill down to the individual person. Like this is the Boardr series GFL. You can see Mike Rogers skated every year, and all these columns are years. And as you scroll down, you can start to see like the people who like went every year and then just kind of fell off right here, or maybe they outgrew them too. There's all different reasons, but you can find this for any contest series out there that we track. Castle, all these ones we don't do. You can even look at like X Games and stuff, which is obviously super limited, but any contest series out there. But what gets crazy is when you start scrolling down way to the bottom of the list, it's sorted by the number of events you've participated in over the years. Look at all these kids that just skated 2 contests and they bounced. 2 contests, no return. 2 contests, 2 contests. Some are like newer contests towards the end, but then you keep scrolling, you get down to this section where kids only skated 1. Look at all these kids. They just skated 1 contest, they bounced.
We don't know.
I'm gonna go to 1 skateboard contest. Hey, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Did we not hook them or what?
If we didn't hook them, or we didn't get to go back to their area, and maybe they're not skating any contests anymore, and we don't know because we haven't gone back to those areas enough.
Yeah. So with the goners and stuff, I wanted to highlight like the ones that are like good goners. Some kids just progress out of these contests, whether they're just getting older or getting better and they outgrow these contests. Like Bombette Martin and Zion F skated every year back in the day, and they just outgrew these. Obviously, they're still skating and killing it out there. You know, like Noah Pollard, the Baker kid, Zion's homie. Gabe Vigliotti's out there still skating contests. Tampa Timmy, why doesn't he skate anymore? Because we plucked
Are you in
him
here,
out
Timmy?
and
He's here somewhere.
He judges our
Yeah.
contests. He might be here.
Yeah,
But,
I just saw him outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, Grace and Georgia Martin, pro, and Shiloh out there killing it. So there's some
And it also
natural
shows
leaders.
it shows what you can do by starting your career at this point. You know, the Zion F's is, you know, you guys will see what he comes out with this week when the Supreme video drops.
Yeah.
And obviously Grace, Georgia, and Shiloh are doing really well. This is a nice diving, you know, it gets you going. In the
in
direction.
these early years,
Yeah.
these events put these kids around like-minded kids that kept them in the
and
you know,
and
in
us
skateboarding.
like-minded kids. When Rob and I met Rob when I was 17 at a contest. It was the Eastern Vert Nationals regionals at the NSA regionals at Eastern Vert in North Carolina. Maybe someone in here was there. That's where we met. That's where we bonded, and that's what happens. And then you create lifelong relationships, lifelong skateboarding dedication, and that's what we're attempting to do with these kids as they're growing up.
Yeah. So those are good goners or whatever. I pulled out a couple of samples of kids these are the ones that concern me. This kid, PJ, skated, you know, every year, not just our contests, it's like all contests that he could get to. Super supportive parents. He ended up moving out to like somewhere in Arizona and Phoenix. Back in 2022, his parents like put skate stuff in the backyard. We haven't seen him in a contest since, and he hasn't posted about skating since. I don't know if he just kind of fell out, wasn't around skateboarders anymore or whatever, trapped in the news feed and got into something else. I don't know. Another one, this kid Johnny Rips, memorable because of his name, of course. Somebody needs to put that on the bottom of a board. But he skated every year, you know, multiple contests, and just kind of fell off in 2021. Hasn't been back to anything, and it's all fishing videos. And
This
stuff.
one's particularly interesting because the kid's profile pic is from one of our events, which was here.
Here, like,
super
years
interesting. He was
ago.
super
Yeah.
into it, and now he's not into it anymore.
Yeah. So
We don't know why.
yeah. Those are the ones that worry about us, that make me dive deeper and deeper into these numbers to try to figure out what we can do better.
And that one more we got, I think last week, the dad said, hey, just take us off your list. We're good. My son plays league basketball now. And we're like, okay. And you know, like that. How come he quit skating and started doing that?
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, what, 12, 13?
Yeah, yeah,
in the
he's like
thick of
prime,
it,
like-
skating
Yeah.
contests every contest.
He was skating
Yeah.
everything for 2
Yeah.
years and
Yeah.
then gone.
Yeah, so these numbers here with the Boardr series, 2,400 skated since 2017. Damn, this number, man, what the hell? 1,700 have not skated since. A large part of that is we don't go to the West Coast anymore. I did dive deeper into this number, and 300 of these kids who have not been in the Boardr series still skate other series. They do Castle and all that stuff because there's, you know, Castle I think does 10 contests a year out there on the West Coast. So it's not as bad, but they don't have our experience of our bar contests, and 70% of them are gone. That's crazy. But.
Yeah, and Castle, it's great. They've been doing a great thing for so long. They don't use our scoring system. They don't.
Oh, they
use,
do. They just
do?
started
Oh,
like
okay.
3 years ago.
They just started.
Yeah,
So
I don't
it's
have
hard,
a ton of data on them,
It's
but
hard
they
to
just
track the
started.
data.
But
Yeah.
So another local, like all ages contest is out there in Cowtown. They do 2 of these a year, and they're showing like kind of the same slight decline, you know, nearing 350 before the pandemic. Pandemic hits and they kind of recover pretty nicely, but they had a drop in 2024 also. Trent and Laura out there, they're the ones obviously that do Phoenix Am, and they're killing it with events in their area, and it's good to see, but even theirs is like on the slight, like, well, dropping in recent years. Third Layer, we've been friends with them forever too. I wanted to highlight one thing they're doing out there. It's this King of the Groms series. They do lots of other contests and events during the year, but this King of the Groms thing, they restarted in 2022 with like 50 skaters. It was like, oh, that's cool, that's back. But it's growing and it's catching on. 109 skaters in there, and they're all 13 and under, I believe. And their return percentage is great. This green pie slice is a number of kids that come back the next year, and it's well over 50%, and it's getting better and better. They're doing something right up there at Third Layer, and that's great to see. Skate Park at Tampa, all ages, right here in our backyard. Same kind of like slow decline pattern, you know, with the pandemic annihilation right there, coming back really nicely, and then the pattern dropping off right there. Back in the late 2000 teens, close to 300.
You
But
have the other slide.
yeah, zooming out right here at Skate Park at Tampa, this is the one that's a little concerning when you go back before 2017. This is the total number of entries for the all ages contest they do all year. What's this, like 4 or 5?
Yeah, it was 5 back then. I think it's 4 now.
Yeah.
So that's super interesting to see. Another thing I want to point out with Skate Park at Tampa, Cowtown doing their events, and Third Layer is that they have a reason to bring people there, regardless if they're getting 800 people or 300 people, because they have retail, they have camps, they have lessons, they have another purpose to get people through their doors. So we're different as a service agency. Like I broke down what we do. We don't have that. We're not selling anyone anything. So that for them is an advantage. So no matter what, they're doing the right thing. If you notice at Skate Park at Tampa this weekend, there's no shoe sponsor at this point, right? So it's not like, well, we're not gonna have a contest. They may have to spend money to do this contest. They might not make any money this weekend, but they're still gonna do it because it's Skate Park of Tampa. There's a reason for them to do it. They're selling product. They have more purpose than just doing events.
Yep. Let's see. So one thing I wanted to mention about those 3 examples too, with Skate Park at Tampa, Third Layer, and what was the other one? Third Layer, Skate Park at Tampa, and Cowtown and stuff. It's private versus public skate parks. Public and free skate parks are great. They give, you know, kids have a place to go and a place to skate, but private skate parks have programming and activations, and it doesn't have to just be contests. It can be anything like demos,
events, you know, girls sessions, like whatever they do, they're doing something on a regular basis to involve the community and to activate. And that's what we're getting at, is activation.
Yeah, and the economics of getting those activations to the free skate parks like we do is tough. It's got to either come from sponsors, or we'll talk about this a little more later, participants need to pay for it. And you're going to speak a little bit.
It's already me here? All right. It went faster than I thought. Okay. So we are, which page are we on here? I lost track, Rob. We're going, all right. So we're always thinking of what we can do, right? And so we're presenting all this data to you guys, all this experience that we have, going like, what do we do next? We're not necessarily even sure. We're always talking about changing and pivoting and, you know, talking about the economics of it and what we can actually afford to do. One thing that we noticed the whole way through is our industry across the board does such an excellent job of marketing to skaters. We're all already hooked. Everyone in this room is already hooked, right? So no matter what you're into, every 90 days there's new creature graphics out. If there's a new Austin Gillette part this week, if you're down for Austin, right? You want some clean cut imagery? Get an April skateboard. You want funny stuff, you want humor? Ed Templeton and Toy Machine makes funny stuff. Always has. You are covered because someone is marketing to you, but you're already hooked. So how are we marketing to like the next group of kids? Does a kid open up a Thrasher magazine and see an ad that is for one of us in here and go, yeah, I get that. You probably don't even get it. You're looking at it as like, what is that? It's as a kid, as someone new. One thing we need to point out is that, once again, as we're marketing as an industry to existing skaters, everyone in the industry that we deal with gives back in some capacity. Every single person in this room, I mean, I know 90% of you in this room, everyone that works at every brand that I deal with gives back. And that is across the board. And every group, every one of these groups is doing rad stuff. Make Life, Skate Life. I don't know if you guys ever heard of them. They're building parks. You have to Google the cities they're building skate parks in. And they're doing it on a super small budget. It's amazing, all over the world. Tutti Frutti is like a new nonprofit out of South Florida. Boards for Bros, you guys obviously know that, out of Skate Park at Tampa. They've given skateboards away to kids, hundreds of skateboards a year for, 15 years now? Yeah, 17 years? Yeah. Skateboard Angel, that's the same concept as Boards for Bros, but it's from Cowtown. Deluxe has 3 programs: Actions Realized, Keep It Rolling, and Sketchy Skate Shop Support. Sketchy Skate Shop Support, you guys might remember that during the pandemic. Mark Gonzalez drew graphics for like 50 shops. Send them to the shops and they could make anything they wanted out of that. So it's not for a lack of trying. Everyone's trying to do the right thing, and everyone we deal with has a charitable component, or they work for free like we do, constantly working for free or below what they should be paid because they believe in what we're doing. Jax's Jits, we want to point this one out. This is Jax F's in Miami. Coolest little kid, coolest older brother, best dad ever. Arguably one of the best skate parks in the world, Lot 11. The coolest sponsors of the event, Violet stuff they were giving out, they're giving away Supreme stuff. The kid rides for Converse and Violet, like the coolest kid. In 2024, they had 35 kids skate in their contest. In 2025, there were 23. 23.
Yeah,
like, what do you got to do to get these kids involved? We're not exactly sure. All right, should we be doing more or different? I got to talk about this real quickly because something happened here.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. It just said, I think it just said cheer.
Just said cheer.
There you go. It said cheer. All right. I learned a little bit. I want to go into this real quick, and I know I'm going off subject here, but it does tie back to it. My kids are competitive cheerleaders. I have 2 daughters, right? So they're not sponsored. They don't know what that even means. So I've learned a lot about the cheerleading business in the last few years because I go to all these competitions. The activity is supported by the participants, the parents, of course, and it's the opposite of the way we've always been in skateboarding. Our family pays for the gym, the travel, the competitions, the whole deal. And at our gym alone that my kids go to, there are 50 teams, okay? On each team, there are 20 members approximately, and we pay the monthly fees, we pay for the private lessons, we pay for the uniforms. This all is, and then we also pay for obviously all the travel and lodging and all that kind of stuff, right? And this goes with 50 different teams, 20 kids on each team, all the parents supporting it, and that's how it's funded, right? Yeah, they have some sponsors. Yeah, there's some support. But when for us to do a contest, we're going, hey, you guys got to give us money. Hey, Nike. Hey, New Balance. Hey, Zoomies. Hey, Woodward. Can you pay us? And we're getting a very, very small amount of money. You guys can add it up. And if we're getting 50 skaters in a contest, we're charging $50 a piece. That's $2,500. Do the math. You know what it takes to get to South Carolina to do a contest. It costs us $12,000 or $15,000 in travel just to get there to do the event, to get our staff there. So there's a huge commitment to be involved in cheer. That photo right here was an exhibition at my kids' gym. That exhibition, all 50 teams performed, right? It was like the beginning of the year, like we're gonna show you our routines. Every person that entered that building that wasn't performing paid to enter the building. In skateboarding, it's all free. Even at Skate Park at Tampa, 50% of the people in that building this weekend will be in there for free. Today, everyone in here is for free. Our concept in skateboarding has always been the opposite of these businesses like cheer that are funded by the participants. So I want to talk about cheer. One more point. I went to a competition in Indianapolis. 4 flights, got four of my family, 3 nights of lodging, food, and all that kind of stuff, right? The competition had 10,000 competitors. 10,000 competitors. And each, you figure, mom and dad, a brother and a sister, all bought tickets to go into this thing. That's how it's funded. That's how they're able to put on these amazing competitions with lights and video cameras. We get constructive criticism from people and parents and stuff. Man, it'd be awesome if you did this. It'd be great if you did that. I'm like, it would be amazing. I would love to do all that. We don't have the money to do that. We're already running around crazy, working 60 hours a week to try to make it happen as it is. All right, enough of cheer. Thanks for listening to my cheer. My kids were supposed to be here. That was my big thing my kids were here. They couldn't make it because guess what? They're going to a cheer thing tonight that they had to go to because that's what they do. They're very committed to it. That's another thing that thing makes you do. It's like when once you're in, you're in. Skateboarding, it's like you don't have to be in.
Yeah,
you don't have to be in, you know? Yeah. So we talk about evolving, changing. What are we going to do? Change the format. Maybe we've done the same shit for too long. Maybe it's too complex. We've all heard this. You watch the Olympics and your friends that don't skate, they're like, yeah, it's hard to watch. I didn't really get. Like, how come they fall so much? What's going on? You know who's got a new kind of a cool format that we thought was PSL, Mike Mo's thing that he's doing. We thought that was pretty sick. Do we need to be a little more like Little League? Not a lot, not like, oh, we need to be just like Little League and that's structured, but we would argue that you need more of these events on a regular basis, every Saturday in multiple cities across the country, the entire year, that are leading up to a system that get you to the locals, and then the regionals, and then the finals, and then the championships. We would argue that is probably a good idea to get people into it more.
I think what we're competing with on our heads today is our old school way of skateboarding is like kind of beautifully disorganized and unstructured. We're trying to balance that out with, we also want new kids to start skating. Like I want both of my sons to like have the like 30-year span of a great physical activity that's super rewarding, like I've had. With these global rankings, so like us not being like sports people, it was like hard for me to kind of implement that. Like 7 or 8 years now, I think we've been doing. I'm like, dude, do I want to like make
We even
rankings
debated
for skateboarding? Like,
should we even
yeah,
do this?
I
Is
had
that
it done,
corny,
and it took
you
us
know?
like a year for me to flick the switch and put it out there. You know, we just don't come from that kind of kind of culture or whatever. But recently, multiple parents have mentioned to me like, hey, those global rankings things, like my kids use that as like a motivator, and it's like a measurement of their progress, and they like seeing the climb of like, 4 months ago I was ranked 3,284th, and now I'm in the top 500, and I'm kind of constantly being told like, you should wave that flag a little more and like maybe move that to the top of your like promotions or whatnot. So lots of little things like that we're always thinking about, and one of our goals for this talk and presenting this information to you and going over all this stuff is also to just hear your feedback and talk about, are you seeing the same things in your communities and back at your skate parks and businesses that we are, and what can we do to like keep new kids skating so that big giant 70% goners number doesn't grow.
But that opens it up. But first of all, thank you, man. That was like the most attentive group I've ever spoken to. Thank you guys so much for being here and paying attention.
Thanks, guys.